Upon Melancholy Hill by D. Philosophen. Rainbow Dash was excited. Too excited for other pony's terms as she stared at the paved runway, watching in awe as her father slowed the car to a stop at a good way from any outgoing or ingoing aircraft. Why Rainbow Dash was excited? She'll finally be able to fly within a plane, a real one that used an engine, unlike Pegasi who used wings instead to fly high. Her father was already prepared, a solid black aviation hat wrapped securely around his head, his face covered in a balaclava and eyes covered by solid brass goggles, red tint the same color as her eyes. The young filly flapped her wings excitedly as her father lifted her from the car seat and sat her on top of his shoulder, taking up barely enough space as they stared around. Rainbow staring left and right and pointed out various things on the private runway. Father wasn't truly her father by blood, but a human aviation pilot who entered the Equestrian lands by accident, and found himself at home within the lands after complex tests by Celestia, and her subsequent approval allowed him access. He was a strong-built man, standing a staggering 6 feet 3 inches, who enjoyed the outdoors and menial labor jobs. How he adopted Rainbow Dash the filly never knew, and never cared to know. She had a father after her parents disappeared after her birth. Their love of aviation brought them closer together. The mighty single-engine aircraft stood proudly across the tarmac, the oil-black hull emblazoned with a rainbow stripe ending at the nose. Father said it was a Cessna 150, an advanced aircraft with many different things that Rainbow had some difficulty understanding how it worked. But again, she didn't want to know. She just wanted to fly. Taking her seat within the passenger side, Rainbow stared vividly around from her position, her mouth unable to cease talking as her father smiled brightly. Her adopted daughter was his adopted daughter was just like him when it came to aeronautics. But when they got into the air, she would never stay quiet until they landed. Starting slow, her father pushed in the mixture knob to the aircraft, allowing the engine to have the largest amount of fuel at ready. Next, he pushed another knob and fully, followed by Rainbow Dash flipping the master switch on and smiling to her father as he opened the throttle a fourth of an inch inward, finally turning the ignition switch into position until the engine fully started itself. Dash staring gleefully as her father quickly checked off the pre-flight checklist and started down the runway slowly. Soon enough, the two were flying high into the sky, Rainbow Dash refusing to close her mouth as her father smiled. Pegasus pointing towards Cloudsdale, climbing more than 3,000 feet into the air. Flying towards the city, Isaac was greeted by the sight of other Pegasi flying nearby, many staring at the flying aircraft as Dash waved swiftly left and right at each one they passed by. Some responding to her waving as her father slowly began singing. Music player near the dashboard and started up. Up on Melancholy Hill, there's a blasted tree. Are you here with me? The song lyrics were familiar to Dash, the song that her father always played to her whenever it was appropriate. Felt like a theme song to them both, though she couldn't understand whatever the singer meant. She always sung along with her father, memorizing each lyric since she was newborn. Just looking out on the day of another dream. Cloudsdale reddened and stared in awe as her father gracefully flew amongst the cloud buildings, some close calls nearly costing a structure or two a bit of their cloud. But little harm had come. Soon enough, Pegasi who could keep up with the aircraft were gliding close to the Cessna, some demanding a race by the familiar signs. When her father stared back towards her, Dash nodded quickly in response. Soon enough, her father maximized the aircraft's speed, sending some Pegasi in the dust as their speed increased. Soon enough, they left the competitors behind in well under a minute. Dash's guess Again, her father spoke the next part of the song, pointing towards Cancelot, short enough distance away to her guess again. Where you can get what you want, but you can't get me. So let's set out to sea. Rainbow finished it off again. 'Cause you are my medicine when you are close to me. The evening sun cast a brilliant glow over Cancelot. The cast now luring some of the unicorns below into what appeared to be angry at this police reaction. The two glided carefully towards the castle. Dash barely making out the form of Prince Celestia staring up towards them. Feeling a form of kindness wash over her, unable to resist waving her hoof down towards her as the plane looped around the castle, while starting the third part. So calling all the submarines, round the world we'll go. Canzela was now behind them, the two directed towards their next destination of Sweet Apple Acres. Finally, they'd spend the rest of the time flying around in the Everfree, and land at the airstrip in Ponyville. The journey was short as the aircraft sped along the airways, soon flying over familiar apple orchards, acres and acres of orchards. Dash easily made out the sight of one of her best friends, Applejack, the orange and blonde pony waving up towards them as they passed by, heading towards the Everfree. Dash turned back in her seat as the night sky began to dawn over them, continuing the next two lyrics. Does anybody know love if we're looking out on the day of another dream? The canopy of the Everfree forest was all that Rainbow Dash could see. For miles and miles away they'd go, and swing around again. Barely any creatures that Dash wanted to see even appeared, an exception for the fleeting glance of a manticore watching them solemnly, knowing better than to chase such airborne prey. Looking around, Dash couldn't help but feel tired, finally, of flying around for so long. It never dawned that Rainbow Dash would soon tire out when her adrenaline rush ended. Only able to hear the last two lyrics to the incomplete song. As Ponyville dawned over, Dash slowly closing her tired eyes as the father spoke the final words. If you can't get what you want, then you come with me. And a quick song-based one-eye decides the end.